My name is Stuart Bambino. I'm the president and CEO of the San Ramon Chamber of Commerce, and we're pleased to host this forum tonight, along with our great partner, the DanvilleSanRamon.com. Gina and Jeremy, we have Gina Chanel Wilcox and Jeremy Walsh. They'll be our moderators for tonight's program, and they've done this many times, and there's nobody better than them. So thank you, Gina and Jeremy, for participating tonight. I also want to thank our candidates tonight. We are so fortunate in the city of San Ramon to have so many qualified candidates that want to take their valuable time from their families, their profession, to serve the city of San Ramon. So thank you guys. I know you'll all do a great job, and I think it's time to get started. So I'm going to turn it over to Gina. Gina, take it away. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Stuart, and thank you to the candidates. I am Gina. I am the president and publisher of Embarcadero Media's East Bay division, which includes the Pleasanton Weekly, PleasantonWeekly.com, DanvilleSanRamon.com, and our newest edition, the LivermoreVine.com. My co-moderator tonight is Jeremy Walsh. He is the managing editor of the division. And this is the first of two forums tonight. At 7 o'clock, we will bring in the candidates for City Council Districts 2 and 4, and they will answer some questions. I want to thank the San Ramon Chamber of Commerce, our partner, our co-sponsor, the San Ramon AAUW, and the Dublin San Ramon Women's Club for helping promote this. And a special thank you to Maria Cooper of Above and Beyond Productions for coordinating the live stream and the recording and doing the timer. And thank you to all of the community members who sent in questions. We won't be able to monitor chat. I don't even see a chat option on here. So we took all of the questions that we received and on common topics and crafted questions around those. Our three candidates vying for the mayor's seat are Dinesh Guvinaro. Thank you. Dave Hudson and Sabina Seffer. Thank you. We will start with 2-minute opening statements from each candidate. Each candidate will have 90 seconds to respond to questions. A countdown timer is visible to everyone. Candidates who go over the time limit will be alerted. And then at the end, each candidate will have 3 minutes for closing statements. Because of limited time, we have asked candidates to save any rebuttals for their closing remarks. So we are going to go in alphabetical order according to last name. And so candidate Guvinaro is going to give his opening statement first, and then we will alternate who answers questions.
Great. Hey, thank you. As a father, a Cal High grad, local youth sports coach, and resident, I call San Ramon my home for 43 years. Having experienced San Ramon at all levels, from attending San Ramon schools to raising children here, to helping my parents age in place at home, I believe I'm the only candidate who can best empathize with and understand the entire spectrum and fabric of our diverse community. Now, as a physician over the past 25 years, I've dedicated my life to serving others. The innate passion to serve is also exemplified through my volunteer roles. I was a PTA board member and Reflections Art Chair for many years, and I've also volunteered with youth theater. As a strong supporter of our local youth sports programs, I have volunteered and coached multiple sports in San Ramon for 12 years, including baseball, basketball, soccer, and softball. I currently serve as a board member of the San Ramon Valley Education Foundation and on the San Ramon Library Advisory Committee. I've also taken a deeper dive learning about our city by taking Government 101, Citizens Planning Academy, and currently taking Citizens Police Academy. I also was part of the 2022 graduating class of Leadership San Ramon Valley. Now, over the past 20 years, I have served in multiple ways and would like to bring that experience and passion to a citywide level as mayor. I also have a vast amount of executive leadership experience over the last 21 years in both the public and the private sectors involving personnel management, operations, and overseeing budgets. Time and time again, I've committed myself to stepping into new and challenging roles and making transformative change. I'm currently the Chief Medical Officer for a large state agency. I'm incredibly, excited to be running for mayor, where if elected, I will bring a fresh perspective to our local community, incorporating understanding, experience, and transparency. I'm also committed to strengthening public safety and health, developing sustainable plans for smart and sensible growth, cultivating inclusive and welcoming community, furthering economic development and fiscal responsibility, and preserving our parks and open space. I'm not a career politician, and I have no desire to climb the political ladder. My goal is simple: to serve our great city, and I would be honored to earn your vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Hudson?
Thank you, Gina. I'm Dave Hudson, the mayor of San Ramon, and I have represented you on city council for the last 25 years and as your mayor in 2001. There is something important that residents need to know before they go to the ballot box. There are 97 elected council members in Contra Costa County, all vying for 2 seats on regional committees like the Air District and the Bay Area Council of Governments. I have one of those seats on both committees, as well as a seat on the MTCA BAG Legislative Committee, the Administrative Committee, and the Bay Area Regional Collaborative. It takes a decade or more on your city council to win these selections in an open vote of the 19 mayors of Contra Costa. I've been on these committees for over a dozen years since that first selection. I also sit on the Contra Costa Transportation Authority, Central Contra Costa Transit Authority, Valley Link, and the San Joaquin Rail JPA. These committees bring money and value back to San Ramon. My wife, Barbara, and I moved here 44 years ago because we saw something in San Ramon. We were part of a community that has been recognized as a great place to raise our 3 children, and we watched our children grow along with our community. We were and are part of that growth. PTA, scouting, boosters, and attending events. This is the culture we know as San Ramon. Of the many awards we have received over the years, the Friend of the Grizzlies Award I received in 2002 from California High School is among the most gratifying. With your vote over the next 2 years, I hope to continue the work we have started together. Thank you for your support.
Thank you. And candidate Zephyr?
Thank you so much, Gina, for moderating, Stu for hosting us, and a special shout out to AAUW. They're close to my heart. Just want to say that San Ramon is changing rapidly. During my 4 years that I've been on council, in addition to a population growth, we've weathered a pandemic, large employers are leaving San Ramon, and we are bleeding retail tax dollars to neighboring cities. All of these factors are straining our city finances. I am committed to providing the level of service that the residents of San Ramon have come to expect and that keep our property values high, our neighborhoods safe, and our schools excellent. But it's going to require fresh ideas with experience and planning for the next 10 years and not looking back at the last 40. In the 4 years, I've made a big impact on changing the status quo in San Ramon. I'm working to make San Ramon a hub for technology and the jobs that they generate. We are developing a plan to address the shrinking tax base to reinvest in our aging shopping centers and increase retail sales. And city government has never been more inclusive and open. I have made sure your voice is heard on city council. My experience as a council member, a technology executive, but most importantly, a mother, will help me lead the city as a mayor. With your input, we can make San Ramon economically vibrant and a destination city for businesses and families. I am focused on San Ramon and building a community in San Ramon and for the residents of San Ramon. I hope I can earn your vote. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We will now move on to questions. And a reminder to the candidates who have 90 seconds to answer. Our first question, we will start with Dave Hudson. Housing is among the top concerns for voters headed into this city council election, especially in light of the new increased numbers under the Regional Housing Needs Allocation, or RHNA. Do you agree with the approach the city is taking to meet these state mandated numbers for both new affordable housing and new market rate housing? Specifically, which points do you agree with and which points do you disagree with and why?
Well, I agree with the approach we have because mainly the City Walk project that dropped in our lap after RENA started, when I took the program or the project to the executive director of ABAG, Brad Paul, he took almost 5 minutes looking at it before he said, "Is this out? Can I use this for a model for the entire Bay Area?" The RENA number's high because of the methodology. And that night, many of us fought to change the methodology to put the housing where it belongs. Santa Clara County. Santa Clara, San Mateo, and San Francisco are the problem in a nutshell. They should have double the numbers they have, but because they don't, and the 441,000 plus houses we have to build in the Bay Area go to other places. We were one of those other places. This cycle is going to be extremely difficult to make, but you don't want to be at the bottom when the review starts in 2 years. We have to show progress. We're doing that. Aspenwood was a start. Hopefully Rome will do what the outpost it was intended to do. And oops, 20 seconds left, and that we complete the job up where Golden Skate is. We don't need any more houses. We've got enough land. We make it work.
Thank you. Sabina Zephyr.
Thank you for the question, Jeremy. I obviously agree with the plan because I'm part of that planning process. One of the things I like about our planning process, obviously we have numbers that we have to meet, and part of it is because we have a housing crisis right now, whether we want to embrace that or not. The building in the core or our downtown is really the best option for San Ramon. We've grown a city that has built large houses. We have a city which enjoys our quality of life with our hills and our open spaces. So as we protect those and we build more in the core or the downtown of San Ramon, we build housing which is smaller, which is more sustainable, walkable, bikeable. Plus, it also creates a product which we have never had available in the past, which is for seniors who want to move to smaller spaces, empty nesters like myself that want to move from bigger houses to something smaller, but still live in San Ramon, and then my young children that can come back and live in San Ramon and call it home. Our population between the ages of 18 and 29 significantly falls because we've never built housing for our young, for our teachers. And so building that housing within our core, calling it the downtown, while maintaining the quality of life, protecting our hills and our open spaces is my vision, and that's what I want to continue doing.
Thank you. Dinesh Govindarao.
So yeah, when my parents moved to San Ramon in 1979, the population was approximately about 20,000, and we've seen a tremendous growth. It's about 85,000, and we're looking to project it to grow about another 10 to 15,000. We need to take a balanced approach, and our planning, our folks, city folks, and our planning folks have done an excellent job in doing this. We have competing interests, and it's important to find optimal solutions. But we do have a huge housing shortage, and we need to plan for smart and sensible growth given the state mandates. What I would say is that we all know the cost of our housing is obviously going up, but we do need to make sure we can provide affordable homes here in San Ramon. And currently we have about over 2,700 affordable homes, and we need to continue to provide more so people can actually work and live in the city, especially our essential workers. Many of us would love to see our kids come back here and actually live, in these homes. And currently in the RENA cycle right now, from 2023 to 2031, it's 5,111 units, and over 3,000 of these are affordable. Now, the question is where are we going to put those? And I do agree on how the planning and putting in the core of the city, preserving our neighborhoods, keep maintaining our open space and preserving our open space. But what I have some concerns with is how the methodology was done for this. And so that's something we probably should look into. But I do agree with where we're planning to put these homes in the core of the city. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, moving on. We're going to start with candidate Zephyr first. Let's talk specifically about one well-debated project at the heart of San Ramon that would bring thousands of new housing units, among other changes, the redevelopment of Bishop Branch. What is your opinion of the vision to redesign Bishop Branch with a variety of housing options and the impacts these developments will have on that part of town and the city as a whole?
Thank you for the question, Gina. And I know when you say it, when people talk about it, 4,500 seems like a very big number that we've planned for the city village. What we look at when we scratch the surface, and I've asked multiple people to go and look at our website and see how well we've planned this actually. And I believe the mayor has already mentioned, right? This is the kind of planning which other cities are looking at San Ramon, because we've done such a good job of building a variety of houses, making it walkable, bikeable, and integrating our parks into a suburbia, which is going to look like a pseudo-urbia, right? But we still get that small town feel. We'll still have that walkability, bikeability. I know, I can talk for 3 minutes. But I think it really sets the tone for where we want to go with the future of housing, how we want to. We'll have 2 lakes there. We'll have an amphitheater. We'll have a loop around, 60-foot loop around it that we can walk. I have no idea how much I've talked. So
Let's do another 30 seconds or 20 seconds.
okay,
Can you do that?
I will just wrap it up.
Okay.
But just to continue my thoughts, just want to say that it is a very well-planned housing development, which is, as we've seen with City Center, Bishop Branch has invested significantly in making this a beautiful gathering place. And along with that, once we have the right housing and the right plan in place, I think people in San Ramon are going to love this. The whole idea is not to have more traffic and make it more pedestrian and bike friendly, along with 3 transportation hubs. And anybody who lives there will get free passes to BART on those buses. So the planning is very much walkable, bikeable, sustainable. Thank you.
Thank you. It's 90 seconds per, I'm responding to Maria, 90 seconds per until we have closing statements. So candidate, where are we? Govindaraw, can you please, do you need me to read the question again or?
No, I think I'm good. Thank you.
Okay.
No, I think the Bishop Ranch, the City Walk, the whole project, I think it's a great project. I mean, it's something that's going to be great for a city. It's going to be a project that's not going to be built overnight. It's going to be over multiple years, about 20+ years, where they're going to build, 300 to 400 homes per year, or maybe a couple hundred, just based on sort of what's going on. But I think if we're going to be mandated by the state again, we have to make sure that we're putting these in the right places. And so I think it was a great idea to put it there where you can have transit-oriented type of development, easy, like going back to walkability, bikeability. That's really important. And so one of the concerns that people may have is traffic. And I think this will be a way to hopefully ease it when you have higher density housing, but that's integrated with a lot of other facilities and other amenities in that area. So people can actually, get out and have other forms of mobility than getting in the car. I would prefer this option than trying to tear down like in other areas, like our neighborhoods or our open space. But what's nice about the Bishop Ranch is that there's going to be multiple types of homes offered. There will be 1-bedroom studios, 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom types of homes, and it'll be affordable by design. And so I think that, and there'll be a percentage that'll be affordable by design. So I think that's also very important too. But I'm very excited about this current project.
Thank you. And candidate Hudson.
Yeah, let me make this clear. San Ramon does not have a housing crisis. The Bay Area has a housing crisis. And the problems that are exacerbated in Santa Clara, San Mateo, and San Francisco are being shoved on the other 6 counties. We are catching it. The 680 corridor is catching the majority of the RENA numbers that Contra Costa is collecting. We will be at about a 1-to-1 jobs housing balance because of this project. Now, the way it's being done, the transit-oriented community with transit paid for anyone that lives and works in Doherty Valley, with the new programs we have, like Go San Ramon, where you could take Lyft from those same homes to BART, and we, or County Connection, will pay half of that fare. These are the kind of things you're going to see going forward from communities that are doing smart growth. San Ramon is at the forefront. This project will also have part of our new pilot program, which is the bike share program. You actually will have less traffic when we finish the overpass, which I hope is one of the questions, than you would have if you built the housing anywhere else. This has the complete support of the state and the Bay Area, and it probably will go forward over the next 20 years.
Thank you. Question 3, we will start with Dinesh Govindarao. The future of corporate presences in San Ramon, Chevron, of course, comes to mind right off the bat, as well as economic and labor difficulties experienced by medium and small businesses, seems to have reached a critical juncture. As a city council member, or excuse me, as mayor, how will you support economic development in San Ramon, specifically attracting businesses and supporting growth of existing businesses?
Thanks, Jeremy. Unfortunately, many businesses have had to close their doors, after COVID. And, I walked a lot of the shopping centers, and the business owners say the same thing to me. Hey, we don't know how much longer we're going to be able to stay open. We really need to figure out ways to support and get creative on how to support our local businesses and have a huge campaign on shopping and eating in San Ramon. I don't think right now we don't do a well enough job marketing that. And there's a lot of little gems in the city. If we marketed those restaurants, those retail, there's a stronger chance they would have more revenue. And if we shop in San Ramon, eat in San Ramon, there's a good chance I will stay here. And so a couple other things, that's one aspect. The other aspect you said about bringing corporate positions out here. That may be a thing of the past now, where we have a lot of hybrid work. But there's a lot of offices, larger employers where we have a lot of IT folks here in San Ramon that could benefit from satellite type of offices. And I think it's important for us to work with and partner with those larger companies, people that have connections, and work through that angle to be able to do that. But I think, if we don't take a strong marketing effort and work with the chamber to bring our local businesses, to bring, these types of satellite offices, our sales tax basis is going to continue to deteriorate. Thank you.
Thank you. Dave Hudson.
Well, it starts at the core. Pat Boone started this many, many years ago. You need to shop San Ramon. I buy gas here. I don't care what the price is, simply because it's an attitude that we have to take. We need to support our businesses. But the problem we're experiencing goes deeper than San Ramon or anything we can do. This goes to the state and the region. And some of us have taken a position, and there's a pledge coming out. We will not lose one more job. We're not going to keep increasing these fees from the Air District and other places that make it just impossible to do business anywhere. Restaurants, I don't know how they stay in business. The refineries got hit with a price that is so exorbitant that, well, they sued. And you're going to see more of that. It's the original equipment manufacturers that are going to be very difficult to bring back. And if you don't bring them back, you're not bringing back the job. So I see this as a responsibility that I have much deeper than just the mayor. It's to stay on those committees that I told you about and fight for the right RENA number and the right fees that are driving everyone out of business.
Thank you. Sabina Zephyr.
So this has been a huge passion for me from day one that I got elected to council. Retail was not a word in our council priorities, and I advocated for a council to agree on and add that word to our council priorities. So I'm excited about that. I think the entire council is very committed to making sure that we have a retail housing balance, and the mayor and myself, we sit on a subcommittee which is talking about this balance. The most important thing to see is that how are we creating and encouraging the spaces that people want to gather in? City center is a good example that when you build it, they will come and buy it. People are buying $6 cupcakes and ice cream. So we obviously have the money. And yet the smaller shopping centers, we're bleeding our small businesses from there. Some of the large businesses are leaving as well. My goal and my vision is that we reinvest in our existing shopping centers. And that's something that a consultant has also confirmed, that we reinvest in our existing shopping centers, perhaps through a fund that we start putting in, just like we used to do it for our parks. We start an economic development fund, because when you create these spaces, when you build them, that's when people are going to come, because they're looking for experiences. Quickly addressing about the large corporates. The future of work is completely different than what it was even before the pandemic. So that's changing, and we're going to have to think differently to attract large businesses here in San Ramon.
Thank you. Okay, moving on. Candidate Hudson. San Ramon Police Department made national news earlier this year when a video was released of a police canine biting an Uber driver, seriously injuring him during the response to a suspected stolen vehicle. What is the city council's role when it comes to the police department? Do you think there should be more oversight? Why or why not?
Well, I think the oversight you're talking about is actually in the lawsuit that is still pending, so I can't go too deep into it. But from day one, when we formed our own police force, it was about oversight. And I will go back and credit Mayor Abram Wilson for really forwarding that idea, and it has paid off dividends for us. Is everybody going to be perfect? No. I mean, we are experiencing, I should say, many problems throughout this country where we've had similar problems and similar incidents. But if you only see 45 seconds, you're not going to be able to respond for what happened over 45 minutes. I'm as interested as everyone else to see it. I think I'm the only person that didn't see the 45 seconds. But that has not come to us yet. I have been through appeals where we've stayed for hours and listened to people talk. If it gets to that point, I'm sure the council, whoever they are at the time, will listen to an appeal if it needs be. If there's a complaint about our police, we'll do it the same way we do everything else. We'll take it seriously and we'll make sure we get it right. That's the way we do things on this council, always have, and no matter who's there in the future, we always will.
Thank you. And candidate Zephyr.
Thank you for the question. And again, hugely apologetic as a council member that something like this happened in our city. But again, not right now able to talk about because this isn't a lawsuit. What I do want to say and what we've talked about is investing more in training. Policing has changed significantly in the last few years. And the way we look at community policing, the way we look at building partnerships is the way we need to move forward. We have a new chief who is very, very involved and interested in making sure that he builds a strong partnership with the community. Because when you have a strong partnership with the community, you know what's going on there, and marry that with training, because we have significantly invested in PD training over the last few years, things that have happened. We have stayed in front of it, making sure that our PD is well-trained, well-equipped to handle some of these better in the future. So we can't fix what happened, but we want to make sure that we are in front of it with our training, our PD, and making sure we have the right policies in place, that something like this doesn't happen in San Ramon again.
And candidate Govindaro.
Thank you. Again, yeah, it's very unfortunate to hear about this incident. Again, that's we don't want to ever hear those types of things that happen in our city. But I can say that we do have a top-notch police department here in San Ramon. Currently, I'm taking Citizens Police Academy, and it really gives me a huge appreciation of what our officers do day to day. And And so I just wanted to make that statement. You know, we are still, and I'd like to make sure that we're still one of the safest cities in the state. We received that honor, and I've met with the new chief, Denton Carlson, and had great conversations with him. And I feel he really is committed to our community and keeping us very safe. One of the things I would kind of go back and say is that if there's an independent agency that feels oversight is necessary, then I think we maybe need to look into that. But I want to make sure we don't jump to something, you know, prematurely without getting all the information and all the facts. So I think everyone needs to do their due diligence, the research, make sure they hear everything about things, and then decide what are the best next steps. So without that information being fully available to us, it's really hard to say at this point what we should, do from that perspective. But I do, again, reiterate, we have a top-notch police department here in San Ramon.
Thank you. Next question, we'll start with Sabina Zephyr. Traffic congestion on city streets from commuters to and from home, from around schools during drop-off and pickup times, and just from accidents, are major headaches and seem to only be getting worse in San Ramon. Oh, and of course, the concern of increased traffic associated with future housing developments. What ideas do you have to alleviate these problems?
Well, hopefully we're implementing one of those ideas very soon, which is shared electric bikes and scooters. So we really need to build the city and the infrastructure, which is balanced both for cars and for bikes and walkability, in my opinion. Because if we continue to make the city just friendly to cars, we will get more cars. We need to build our infrastructure, and we have a 40-year bike plan that we're continuing to implement, but I think we can even do better on it so that our children, instead of everybody going to school in a car, can take bikes, where the roads are safe and the streets are safe for them to take those bikes. So I would like to start investing and looking at the balance of how do we make it a bikeable and a drivable city so that traffic is not concentrated just with cars, because we are a car-friendly city. And when you're a car-friendly city, you have perfect roads next to perfect roads and great cars. People tend to buy more cars, right? So my goal would be, how do we start investing more in our bike projects? I think this, what we're rolling out through the county as a electric bike, electric scooter shareable program is going to be a great beta test here in San Ramon to really prove out that the two can exist well. And what do we need to do to invest in that infrastructure to make that traffic congestion better and more sustainable?
Thank you. Dinesh Govindarao.
Sorry, I was trying to unmute myself here. Thank you. Thanks, Jeremy. So I agree. I think, over the last 40 years, I've seen the traffic getting worse too. And it's going down different parts of San Ramon, trying to get to school traffic, can be really bad during those hours. And so I do think it's important for us to invest in improving, in our roads and our infrastructure and other forms of mobility. And I know there's concerns about more traffic given kind of what's happening around the Bishop Ranch area. But I feel that since we're going to be developing more of a transit-oriented development, that should hopefully alleviate some of the traffic there. I think it's important for us to continue to build out our bike master plan. And it's a $40 million project, and I think that's important to do that and make sure our roads are safe so kids can actually, or adults can ride their bikes safely from point A to point B. I also think we need to promote more with our kids, more on rideshare, and carpooling. That doesn't happen that much, and we want to figure out ways how we can incentivize them to be able to do that, so we can reduce some of that extra traffic that we're seeing. But I think some other things too, like building out the overpass over Bollinger Canyon, I think will help, in our city. And then eventually the Crow Canyon overpass, that'll help too. So I think things like that will really help us alleviate.
Thank you. That was 90 seconds.
Thank you.
And Dave Hudson.
Well, the MTSOs is the law of the land now. You have to treat bike, pedestrian, transit, and the automobile equally when you do your planning. It's been that way for years. The level of service has kind of slipped off. We continue to look at it in San Ramon because it's part of the Doherty Valley Settlement Agreement, and we will for. But it's nothing you can base decisions on as far as construction, et cetera. The overpass that you just heard about is going to be big. That's why we did something different. We changed the standard to 16 feet wide in that area because the traffic's going to be even higher. Anybody that has watched bike traffic over the last 3 years during COVID, it has tripled from the amount it was before COVID. We only projected 243% when we were going to do Measure J. The Measure J that we have in effect right now in San Ramon, the half-cent sales tax, is what funded the traffic school bus program. What a difference that thing has made on our streets. I used to not be able to get out of Thunderbird when I wanted to go west, which you just didn't do, until that project, the very first day that we put that into effect, I had 3 cars in front of me on Broadmoor. All of that traffic back to Del Mar disappeared. Traffic is a big part of our solution.
Thank you.
Thank you. And moving on. This one is, we're going to start with candidate Govindaraw. How do you assess the current city council and city manager Joe Gordon and his administration have done with maintaining the city's budget? What projects or initiatives will you prioritize in the next budget if elected? And what, if anything, concerns you about the stability of the city's budget going forward? And I will reword it for the other 2 candidates.
Yeah, would you mind, sorry.
That's okay.
Would you mind repeating it one more time? I think I got most of it down. I just want to take a couple of quick notes here.
Okay, how do you assess the job the current city council and city manager Joe Gordon and his administration have done with maintaining the city's budget? What projects or initiatives will you prioritize in the next budget if elected? And what, if anything, concerns you about the stability of the city's budget going forward?
Great, thank you. Anytime I get these 3-part questions, sometimes I got to write them down. So thank you. No, well, first of all, I think Joe and the staff there are doing an excellent job trying to maintain our budget. I know it's not an easy job. This year, our budget is projected revenues are 127.2 million. Our projected expenses are, if I recall correctly, is 122.1 million. So, and the distribution of how the allocations for like public works being the most, then police, parks and community administrative services, and community development in that order. I think they're doing a great job with that. I think what projects do I think should be there coming up in the next cycle? When we're looking at, for example, how do we alleviate traffic? I think it's important, for example, to continue what we're doing with the Bollinger Canyon overpass and then take that over the Iron Horse Trail there, and also do that as well at the Crow Canyon Road and at the Iron Horse Trail as well. So that's something I think, we should try to look into and try to get grants as well and figure out how we can get funds to do that to help alleviate some traffic. The other things too, I think where we're widening the Crow Canyon, the roads, I think that's excellent. And I think we need to continue that past St. Lawrence and continue to do that to help alleviate traffic from that end. When we look at other areas too, it's that on projects, I would also say just on recreational stuff, pickleball has been big. So that's another thing. And one of the concerns I have is probably right now is the pension. Sorry, I guess that's
okay. Yeah, we need to move on, but
sorry, it's a long
remember
question.
that for your closing statement. Okay. And candidate Hudson, how do you assess how well the council and the city manager and his administration have been working together? what projects or initiatives would you prioritize in the next budget if elected? And what, if anything, concerns you about the city budget going forward?
Okay, let me just start off by saying, I think Joe's done a great job. I think the council's done a very good job also. I would just say we're not the only ones that think we did a great job, because in 2021, we received an award as one of the most livable cities in the USA, the highest ranking of any city out of California. We were ranked the safest city of our size in California without a murder, and our parks received 3 awards. I mean, we don't hammer it on that much because we're getting used to these kind of awards. It's really a fantastic city. And as I've been walking around, I hear that same thing time and time again. No, city looks great. City's doing well. It's a common theme. The CCTA funding that Dinesh talked about is already done. We're not going out for grants. We already got them. One from ABAG, I'm going to take credit for. One from the Air District, I'm going to take credit for. But we will start construction on that in February. Everything's done. It's ready to go. Just award the bid. We're also looking at other ways to bring in revenue. This is a constant thing. We've been doing it forever. Inflation is going to change everything, folks. No matter who's sitting in those seats, we're going to have to look at how we're going to deal with it.
Okay, and candidate Zephyr.
Yes, thank you. I understand the question really well. So just want to say first a shout out to Joe and his team. They have done an excellent job of balancing a budget with honestly less revenues than other neighboring cities, which have 100 million more sitting in their revenues. So kudos to Joe and his team for tightening their belt, being creative in so many ways to make sure that we are still able to deliver the quality of service, have the quality of life that our residents love in San Ramon, have our streets fixed and our open spaces and our parks maintained to the T. So my thank you to them. What keeps me up at night and what really concerns me is that for the first time since I've been on council, we dropped below our reserves, which is 36% is our threshold. We dropped to 33%. Our revenues are now above our expenditures, and we had to pull 3 million out of our reserves this year to even with a very tight belt, be able to manage. My concern is that our population has grown significantly, and yet our revenues have not matched that population growth. And if this trend continues, we are in trouble. I don't want to be a naysayer, but I will tell you, if we don't plan for the next 10 years, we are going to be in trouble, or we're going to have to cut some of the services. And I don't want to do that. Instead, see how we can invest and grow our revenues in San Ramon. Thank you.
Thank you. And hard to believe we've arrived at our final question this evening, number 7, and we will start with Dave Hudson. What role does the city play in addressing key issues related to climate goals and the environment, specifically things like the drought and water supply, air emissions, and the energy supply? What moves will you encourage the council to look at implementing in these areas going forward?
Well, I'm going to do more than just the council. I've been on the Bay Area Air Quality Management District for the last 12, 13 years. Wait a minute, something just popped in. Let me dismiss it. I was the one that pushed for the Citizen Advisory Committee 12 years ago to start focusing on particulate matter, which is what is going to be the focus of the lawsuit with Chevron, asking them to drop their particulate matter emissions down to 0.1 micrograms per cubic meter. I think the big thing going forward is to make people realize when you talk about what you're going to do about climate change for cities, our climate action plan has to focus on SB 375, the Sustainable Community Strategy. There's only one thing we can look at: reduce vehicle miles traveled through housing. So when I see somebody outside with a sign that says, what are you going to do something about climate change? What they're really saying to the Bay Area Air Quality Management District is build housing right next to the jobs, which we are doing. We've elaborated that quite a bit tonight. I'm going to continue to push for particulate matter and hydrogen. We're going to move to hydrogen for County Connection, for Valley Link, and many of the other larger equipment. We have more charging stations here than anyone else in the county, and I'm going to go for more. That's what we do there. We go after grants.
Thank you. Sabina Zephyr.
Thank you for the question, Jeremy. I think there is a number of tools that we as a city council have to make sure that we are keeping climate at the forefront and protecting it. One of the ways is obviously planning in a very thoughtful way where we are more bikeable, walkable, and less dependent on cars. The Climate Action Plan is another tool which hadn't been updated in the last 7 or 8 years, which is now part of our general plan as it's being updated. And that's a tool that cities can use. As we continue to build and update our infrastructure, it's very important that we're thoughtful in how we're upgrading that infrastructure and invest in the right amount of the right way to put in the lights, the doors, all the things that go around in building a sustainable infrastructure. And last but not the least, the city has committed to 100% renewable energy usage for our own facilities. So city facilities are 100% utilizing clean energy and renewable energy. And then we've got basically our garbage plan. What do we call it? The waste management plan. We want to make sure that we give options to our residents to be able to recycle or do organics and produce as little garbage as possible. So those are some of the tools we've used and will continue to use. And then we have a trash-free San Ramon campaign going on right now.
Thank you. Dinesh Govindarao.
Great, thank you. Yeah, just the climate action plan, yeah, it's being updated with the general plan. And, it's important to make sure that we have, sustainability mitigation and adaptation as part of that. I think one of the things in consistency, so one of the things I would say is that we all, most of us think climate change is real and we need to reduce our greenhouse gases, reduce our vehicle miles traveled. If we can bring more local, and we talked about this in a previous question, we can bring more local businesses and larger businesses to our city, that can reduce the commute times. We're doing more of the transit-oriented developments. So those are other areas too that will be very, very beneficial to our city. But also promoting other forms of alternative, other energy like solar, and promoting more electric vehicles and charging stations. And we can increase the number of charging stations. Seems like whenever you go somewhere, it seems to be all plugged. All the plugs seem to be taken up, like if you go to the lot. But I would also support other types of mobility too. That'll help with the climate action as well, with the bike master plan and walkability and doing those things as well. But we need, and lastly, we need to promote more public transportation and make it more accessible. It's not as accessible always in different parts of the city, and that's something we need to stress. And if we do this, we need to help our environment for generations to come. Thank you.
We are at the end of our questions and ready for the 3-minute closing statements. And we're going to go in reverse alphabetical order and start with candidate Zephyr.
Thank you so much. Again, thank you to everybody, and thank you to my fellow candidates for bearing with me on this forum. I appreciate all of you. Like most of you, I moved to San Ramon with my young kids because we are a safe community with open space and parks and excellent public schools. My volunteer work as I raised my son and my daughter, and now as the city council member, I have always worked to represent the aspirations of a new and energized residents that have also moved to San Ramon. Instead of being wary of the change that has happened in San Ramon, I celebrate our diversity, and I'm constantly looking forward and planning for how we preserve all that makes San Ramon amazing. Hopefully a parade one day. The last 4 years, I've hosted community conversations with our local leaders and our regional leaders. I have been regularly communicating with our residents through my monthly email, as well as my social media through all channels. I just got on TikTok, but that's another conversation. And I've shown up on every possible event, time allowing, and sometimes 5 events a day. So I am super embedded in the community. And if elected, I will make sure that I bring the mayor's breakfast back. I'm a mom. I'm your council member. I'm a technology executive. I'm a startup advisor. I'm a community volunteer. I embrace what San Ramon is, and I am working to make sure that your city government is more inclusive and open and represents you. All I want to say is that together, let's keep San Ramon vibrant, inclusive, and safe. I hope I can count on your vote. Thank you.
Candidate Govindaro.
People move to San Ramon for its quality of life, safe neighborhoods to live and raise a family, a diverse and inclusive community, distinguished schools, and wonderful parks and open space, to name a few. Now, I think it's important for the viewers to understand what differentiates me from the other candidates, and there are 5 areas I'd like to discuss. The first is being deep-rooted in San Ramon. My family moved to San Ramon back in 1979 to the Twin Creeks area, and I graduated from Cal High, stayed local for college by attending UC Berkeley, and went to medical school, and then came back to San Ramon to raise my family. We have 4 kids, 3 finished high school in San Ramon, and our youngest is a sophomore. I've seen our city grow from approximately 20,000 in 1979 to around 85,000 today, and truly understand residents when we discuss growth and traffic being concerns of theirs. Now, just to reiterate, I grew up here as a child, raised my kids here, and now seeing my parents age in place in San Ramon, no other candidate can say this. My second is being able to connect with all our communities in San Ramon. I've seen our demographics shift tremendously over the last 43 years. When we moved here in 1979, I would venture to guess the minority population was under 10%. Today, it's over 50%. Someone who was raised in the city as a child and being a minority, I'm able to truly connect with all our residents in San Ramon. I've walked many neighborhoods in San Ramon and knocked on thousands of doors. No matter what precinct I'm in, I'm able to genuinely relate with any resident. People have told me from various parts of San Ramon that it feels at times we are a tale of 2 cities, the old and the new part of San Ramon. I have lived in both. I'm the most relatable candidate with the widest net, the people's mayor who could be the bridge between our various communities and create a culture of one San Ramon. My third differentiating factor is that I have both public and private executive leadership experience over the last 21 years in personnel management, operations, and budgets. I'm currently the chief medical officer for a large state agency for the last 9 years. These roles have provided me a wealth of transferable skills to managing a city. The fourth differentiating factor is that I bring a fresh perspective and willingness to consider various ideas to find innovative solutions. I strongly believe in transparency in government and ensuring our residents' voices are heard. One of the recurring questions that have come up as I've knocked on thousands of doors is, who is our current mayor? It's time for change at this position, and if elected, I'll be present for our residents. And lastly, I'm not a career politician. I'm not trying to climb the political ladder or build a resume. One of my opponents have shared with me that she only wants to serve as mayor for 1 term. I am in this for the long haul, and if the residents would have me, I would love to serve in this position for the next 8 years, since each term is 2 years with 4 terms max. Now, when you look at all the candidates, I'm the only candidate that represents the past, the present, and the future of San Ramon. And I best understand the context of what San Ramon was, how it was evolved, and how it has evolved into our present day and where it's headed. Thank you for your time today, and I'd be honored to earn your vote.
Thank you. And I apologize to candidate Hudson because I apparently cannot do alphabetical backwards. So
I wasn't going to say anything.
Yeah, it threw me a little bit. So
No biggie.
Sorry, that's what threw me too. I was kind of like, I was kind of looking at something else, and then so sorry about that.
I was concerned about running long and messed that up, so I apologize.
Okay, I get to go. My turn. I want to correct 2 things before we get started. One, retail has always been a priority for every council in San Ramon. All you have to do is go back and look at the annexation agreement for Bishop Ranch. They weren't included in incorporation. They were annexed afterwards, and you have to have it in writing, what I'm talking about. Also, we didn't mention it tonight, but San Ramon's in pretty darn good position. We have the highest total property tax evaluation of any city in Contra Costa County, and we've held it for a few years. So we're not going to cry poor. It's just, if we want to keep the services, it's going to take some real hard-nosed decisions. If you found a flyer at your door, I'm the one that left it there. Re-elect Hudson for mayor. I walk your neighborhoods to hear from you, to hear your views. I walk to tell you what's happening in San Ramon and learn what's important to you. If you haven't received a flyer from me yet, you will be seeing me soon. Campaigns are a perfect time to talk and a perfect time to be out in our communities and our districts to learn from you directly. I've really enjoyed engaging with new people that I didn't know before over the last several weeks, and I am very proud of the responses I've been getting. In general, without exception, everyone is happy in the direction we're going. Over the next several weeks, I hope you will stop me as I walk my literature through your neighborhood. Tell me what you think is good or wrong with San Ramon. I look forward to meeting with you over the next several weeks, and thank you for your support.
Thank you, and thank you to our candidates. I apologize to the council candidates for running a little bit long. But right now we are going to take a quick 7 to 10 minute break and say farewell to our mayoral candidates and welcome our council candidates next. So we will be right back. Thank you.
Good evening, and welcome or welcome back for the second forum tonight. This one is for the city council candidates. We have contested races for District 2 and District 4 in San Ramon. District 2 candidates are Mark Armstrong and Sarah Lashenloo. District 4 candidates are Heidi Kennison-Lee and Marisol Rubio. I'm Jeremy Walsh, editor of Barcadero Media's East Bay Division. Joining me tonight as co-moderator, Gina Chanel Wilcox, president and publisher of our East Bay Division, which includes DanvilleSanRamon.com, Pleasanton Weekly, and our newest publication, LivermoreVine.com. We will start with 2-minute opening statements from each candidate. Each candidate will then have 90 seconds to respond to questions. We will not be doing rebuttals this evening. We'll ask candidates to save those for their closing remarks. A countdown timer will be visible to everyone in the slot there that says timer. Candidates going over the time limit will be alerted and stopped. At the end of the evening, each candidate will have 3 minutes for closing remarks. We will go in alphabetical order by district this evening, starting right now with Mark Armstrong from District 2, and then during questioning, District 4 candidate Heidi Kennison-Lee will go first. So we will begin with our 2-minute opening statements. Mark Armstrong, District 2.
Yeah, I'd like to thank the Chamber of Commerce and our moderators for tonight's opportunity for everyone to get to know me. I've been on City Council for the last 2 years as your District 2 representative. I'm a retired Army colonel, and I spent 30 years on active duty following my graduation from West Point. In the Army, I served in a variety of command and staff positions in the U.S. and numerous locations overseas. I later worked for the Federal Emergency Management Agency, or FEMA, leading response and recovery efforts all around the country, supporting states, territories, and tribes in all kinds of disasters and emergencies. I was fully retired before being appointed to the City Council, but I felt I had the time to give back to the community that's given so much to me for the last 18 years here in San Ramon. I'm a Bay Area native, and my wife Brenda and I raised our 4 kids, moving around 12 times as an Army family before settling in San Ramon. All 4 of our kids attended San Ramon schools and graduated from Cal High. Like most of our youth, they played sports and participated in extracurricular activities. Brenda's been a lifelong teacher, and her parents are going through the challenge of aging in their 90s. I'm a homeowner and a taxpayer, and I understand the challenges and privileges of living in our great city. District 2 is my home, and I know it well. And I've walked most of the District 2 neighborhoods, and I've talked to hundreds of residents and have a good feel for what's on their minds and what they like or would like to see improved. Our residents want a safe place to live, good schools and parks and roads and services to contribute to their quality of life. I'm committed to continuing to improve that quality of life, representing not only District 2, but all the residents of San Ramon. I look forward to the dialogue tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Heidi Kennison-Lee, District 4. I'm sorry, Heidi, you're muted. It's okay. Everybody gets one tonight. Yes, I made the same joke earlier. I'm sorry, Heidi, I think you're still muted.
Okay, thank you. Okay, my husband and I moved to San Ramon 26 years ago. It has been a great place to call home and to raise our 2 children. I am so proud of my nearly 2 decades of service to San Ramon, having been named a San Ramon Citizen of the Year and a Tri-Valley Hero. I've held several PTA leadership positions at both the school and district levels, including serving as the first chair of the district-wide Inclusion and Diversity Committee. I've chaired multiple school site councils and managed traffics, an important San Ramon Valley traffic congestion relief program. I currently serve as chair of the San Ramon Parks and Community Services Commission, where I have worked hard to connect our residents to inclusive parks and programs, build community, and foster physical well-being and mental health. Serving as co-chair of San Ramon 150 gave me the opportunity to build community by bringing people together from the entire city to celebrate San Ramon. San Ramon is a great city, financially sound, amazing parks, award-winning programs and events, and very well maintained, very safe. But we do face challenges. Housing mandates require smart city planning done in a way that protects neighborhoods, open space, and retail, has sufficient infrastructure, and does not impact traffic. It's essential that we not only update but execute our climate action plan. We need to attract and support businesses and support our aging population. And I am eager to foster a connected community through shared values and resident engagement. I have a deep and profound connection with San Ramon and our residents. Over years of service to our community, I have gained the experience and the knowledge necessary to help San Ramon preserve and protect all that is wonderful about our city and to tackle the challenges that are ahead. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, Sarah Lashenlu, District 2.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I am Sarah Lashenlu. I'm a Cal High grad, a mechanical engineer from Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, and I currently serve on San Ramon's Innovation and Technology Advisory Committee. But more importantly, let us talk about you, your priorities, and the future of San Ramon. I've been having conversations with voters throughout this campaign, and in the community's own words, here is what I've been hearing. We need to act on climate. Stop signs need to be at school drop-off zones. Police must remain funded and supported. Safety is my top concern. Petty crime is a concern. I'm concerned about traffic and congestion. Iron Horse Trail needs rehab and signage. We need a better transit system. I would use it if it was good. We need safe bike paths. Our streets are dangerous for bikers. We have not just a housing crisis, but a transit crisis. My kids can't afford to live here anymore. We are over-impacting our resources, schools, grocery stores, and streets. And lastly, we need more retail, things to do, not just to consume. So what I've gathered from these concerns is that we need to embrace the future with a bold and pragmatic vision while strengthening San Ramon's existing safety, efficiency, and charm. So here is my plan for the City Council. I will bring the voice of every resident to the table, work collaboratively with council, commissions, committees, our incredible city staff, and all regional entities to advance community safety, with an emphasis on pedestrian and biker safety, climate action by dusting off and implementing our climate action plan, smart growth, a robust local economy with a diversity of revenue streams, and a healthy democracy that prioritizes civic engagement. Thank you so much to our local journals and AAUW and the San Ramon Chamber of Commerce for hosting this forum, and I am looking forward to this conversation tonight.
Thank you. And Marisol Rubio, District 4.
Thank you for inviting me to join you tonight. Having held my first job at age 12 and being the daughter of a first-generation single parent who graduated with a Master of Education and taught in a high-need school district for 30 years, I learned early in life to fight for a better future for my family and my community. That is why, as a single parent of a childhood brain cancer survivor with lifelong disabilities, I decided to turn my hardships into solutions for our community. When my daughter was diagnosed with cancer, I advocated tirelessly on her behalf against an unresponsive healthcare and education system. My determination to ensure her full recovery through my education in neurobiology enabled my daughter to survive terminal cancer and to receive a strong education that enabled her to go to college. Equally, I will dedicate myself to meeting our community's needs by maintaining an open door policy with our residents, by consistently identifying areas of improvement and viable solutions. As Director of Government Relations for the San Francisco Bay Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, I understand the economic challenges small businesses face and will support them during these unprecedented times. Moreover, with Chevron relocating in Santa Maria, we have an opportunity to create well-paying jobs in biotech and renewable alternative energy and other emerging industries that will drive economic growth, help us meet our RENA goals, reduce traffic, and offer residents, including first responders, teachers, and service workers, an improved work-life balance. My experience as a bilingual science teacher and patient family-centered care educator has underscored for me the value of having strong, diverse community programs that reflect San Ramon's varied needs. As Vice President of Dublin San Ramon Services, I applied my educational background in molecular and cell biology from the University of California in Berkeley in environmental and my environmental advocacy in Sierra Club San Francisco Bay chapter to protect one of California's most valuable natural resources, water. Now, as your city council member, I will support smart cities to improve our quality of life, smart growth to prevent urban sprawl, and investment into renewable energy projects. In fact, as co-chair of a county-wide labor climate task force, I'm already forging the path towards more green jobs. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to go to our questions, and we are going to start with candidate Kennison Lee from District 4. Housing is among the top concerns for voters headed into the city council election, especially in light of the new increased numbers under the Regional Housing Needs Allocation, or RENA. Do you agree with the approach the city is taking to meet these state mandated numbers for both new affordable housing and new market rate housing? Specifically, which points of the plan do you agree with and which points do you disagree with and why?
Thank you. Remember to take myself off speaker, so I'll mute this time. Yes, I do agree, because it's very important that we preserve our neighborhoods, preserve our open space, prevent urban sprawl. And so by utilizing underutilized office space in the downtown core area, it's a win-win for everybody. So absolutely, I agree with focusing on the downtown core. I agree with getting our housing next to transit. I agree with getting our housing next to jobs, because that way we're taking cars off the road and it positively impacts our climate. So I feel like one of the things that I want to make sure we're careful of doing, because I think we're doing a good job, is that we follow good architecture, diverse distribution of different housing types, so that we don't have those eyesore and overmassing that sometimes these communities can experience. But basically, I feel like focusing on the core to meet our RENA numbers is absolutely the way to go. Thank you.
Thank you. And candidate Lashamu from District 2.
Thank you, Gina. So the regional housing needs allocation numbers, which we're going to have to be building for the next 8 years, there are a lot of units that we're going to have to be building for. And I am so proud and supportive of the city of San Ramon for embracing those numbers and building those units. We are in a statewide housing shortage. It is what it is. We have to do everything that we can to bring the houses close to the jobs so that people have a place to live. I am very proud of my representatives on the San Ramon City Council for being proactive when it comes to housing development. The City Walk project blows me away. I'm so excited to have transit-oriented, walkable, dense housing at the city core. And not only that, they're still emphasizing the importance of lakes and parks and trails and wildlife and climate preservation. So I'm really, really looking forward to that. There are a couple problems, though, that I do have with the way that we're approaching housing development moving forward. Number one, most of our housing developments most of the home units themselves are very large in square footage size. And this is a negative impact for the city for many reasons. But the most important one is we simply don't need that much living space for too many people. The smallest unit offered at the marketplace proposal is 2,100 square feet. That's a lot of house. And I just want us to embrace city center housing for transit and climate.
Thank you. And candidate Rubio from District 4.
Thank you. Yes, I absolutely support the plan. And from the many of the reasons that have already been stated, one is that higher in order to prevent urban sprawl. It is important for us to make good use of infill land and make sure to really try to pursue mixed use purposes, because for many reasons that is not only environmentally friendly, it gets people walking instead of getting in their cars to get to key businesses, but it also is going to drive up sales. People will more likely go to a Starbucks or a Pete's Coffee if it's next door than you having to get in your car before you can even get there. The other thing that a lot of people forget to mention is that high density housing in any capacity actually is much better for our environment and for our environment also in terms of water supply. It is a lot less demanding on our end to be able to meet those demands. And again, close to transportation, very important, making sure people can easily get to and from their home is a great way to get people off the freeways and liberate also locally some of the traffic. Thank you.
Thank you. And finally, candidate Armstrong, District 2.
Yeah, I've talked to a lot of our residents, and this is a concern that they've got. And I wholeheartedly agree with the way the city's approaching the future of growth in San Ramon. We need to do it in a way that protects our existing neighborhoods, protects our open space. And the idea that we're going to build out primarily in the core of the city area, which is, between like Bollinger and Crow Canyon, it's near transit. We have a newly approved walking district in the area. We've got a bicycle master plan that will tie into this as well. And not only does it bring housing in there, but it also brings retail and is good for business as well in the core of the city area. A big concern, of course, for our residents is, are they going to have a place for their kids to live, an affordable place when they finish college and then come back to San Ramon? And same thing with our seniors. Are our seniors going to have a place to move into in the future? I think our plan accommodates that, and I think it's the right thing to do. I'm a little concerned about the retail and housing balance that we have, but right now the city's taken steps to review that and address that as needed. Thank you.
Thank you. Question 2, we will begin with Sarah Lashenlu, District 2. Public safety is a top concern voiced by many residents. What would you recommend to effect positive change in community policing and criminal justice? Specifically, address your thoughts on what role the city council should play in oversight of San Ramon PD, as well as your expectations for our new police chief, Denton Carlson, who was recently promoted from within the department.
Thank you for the question. I think that San Ramon's police department is exemplary and sets a very good example for what a police department can be for a community. One thing that we can do to increase community policing, which everybody has kind of a different definition of what community policing really even is, but having police officers that are a part of and reflective of our community is a really good place to start. The San Ramon Police Department has opportunities for the public to interface with them during coffee chats and at the city center. And I think this is a fantastic step towards building that relationship, that bridge with the police department. In terms of oversight, the nice thing, the amazing thing about civilian oversight of the police department is that if a police department is moral and ethical, they will have no problem with civilian oversight because they've got nothing to hide. And I think that if civilian oversight can make the community feel safer in the presence of police, then it's something that we should definitely pursue and consider and discuss. But on a greater topic, community safety stretches far beyond the bounds of policing. We also have pedestrians and bikers that are hit by cars very frequently. We have sidewalks that just end on San Ramon Valley Boulevard, and there's nowhere for someone to walk. There are people who are driving 3 miles or less every day just because they have to go pick up a carton of milk. And the fact that we don't have safe alternatives to transit also is bleeding our social services as well.
Thank you. Marisol Rubio, District 4.
Thank you. I personally believe, yes, I agree. I think our police officers have done actually an exemplary job here in San Ramon, keeping us safe. And personally, however, there is always room for improvement. And I think some of the ways that we can do that is certainly creating more opportunities for police officers to be in contact with our community in more social arenas rather than only when there is an incident or something is needed. For two reasons. One, it's good for the officers to better understand what our community's needs are. And two, in reverse, vice versa, it's good for our community to know what services the police officers provide for us. The other thing that I think is also would be, I wouldn't call it oversight, but I think the San Ramon City Council should really be a supportive partner to our police officers and try to create an environment where our police officers feel safe and capable of openly sharing what their needs are and what they need in a way, if need be, anonymously, so that they can openly ask for what they need. And so I think like I know recently they had a coffee event, but I would like to look at something a little bit more robust than that, where we are truly doing something together as a community with our police officers. Thank you.
Thank you. Mark Armstrong, District 2.
You know, our police force is very well respected within the city. As I talk to residents, they love our police force. Certainly there's crime that concerns our residents, but they understand the job that the police has to do and that they're doing it well. They do a good job of getting out there and engaging with the public, and I think that's really important. We've got school resource officers, for example, in the schools. They do these different public engagement events, National Night Out, things like that. You know, we need, one of the most important things we can do on city council is make sure we have budgeted to make sure we've got a police force that is well-resourced, well-trained, well-equipped, well-staffed to do the job that we expect them to do. You know, frankly, with the kind of low amount of police that we have relative to a lot of the other cities around here, we have some of the lowest crime statistics for the major crimes. We're the number 111 safest city in the state of California right now. I've talked to Chief Carlson on several occasions, and I've highlighted to him what residents are telling me about some of the areas, some of the roads around schools in particular, where they're speeding and where people are running stop signs and different times of day that we can make improvements. And I think he listens to that input as well. Thank you.
Thank you. And Heidi Kennison Lee, District 4.
Thank you. You know, the first thing that came to my mind is our Citizens Police Academy. That is a perfect example of our police department being transparent, wanting the citizens to know, here's what we do, here's how we work on your behalf. The coffees are great. They participate in Government 101. They do they promote information on social media. I have often seen posts on Nextdoor where the police are absolutely engaging with our residents to report situations where residents are saying, great job. Chief Carlson, he is a great addition to the chief lineage. He is very community oriented. He has been engaged in our community groups for a long time, a dad who I feel wants to be collaborative. And I feel like the city council is very collaborative and has a very exemplary relationship with our police department. They come and they report to city council meetings, they engage with them, and they are a true partner. And as was mentioned before, I think that we pride ourselves on being an extraordinarily safe city. We have police officers who are clamoring to work for San Ramon PD. So I think we're doing it right here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to our next question, which we will start with candidate Rubio, District 4. Traffic congestion on streets from commuters to and from home, from around schools during drop-off and pickup times, and from accidents are major headaches and seem to only be getting worse in San Ramon. Oh, and of course, we have the concerns about the increased traffic associated with future housing developments. What ideas do you have to alleviate these problems?
Well, first and foremost, we absolutely do have a problem because about 39.3% of our residents are commuters. And of those who work 5 days a week are commuters to work, and they spend 45 minutes each way to work on average. That is higher than the national average, which means what that tells me is that we have a lot of people, we have a very highly educated community here, but we're not providing the jobs that align with their skills. So we certainly should be thinking about, as we have talk about development, economic development and growth, think about how we can create jobs that will actually keep residents working in San Ramon and therefore spending in San Ramon. All of that revenue comes back to the community. That's the first thing. Secondly, obviously, continuing to think of consider ways for schools, making sure that we encourage parents to encourage, especially high schoolers, to bike or walk to their destination, to their high schools, or take public transportation. And making sure that I think, again, if they're looking at ways that we can expand our transportation. As far as the other part of your question, what was that, Gina? The housing?
Yeah,
Sorry.
future housing.
Future housing, keep it close to to where there's the freeway so that we minimize traffic in the center of the city. That's what I suggest. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And candidate Armstrong from District 2.
Sure. One of the big problems is right around the schools, especially at drop off and pickup times. And I've seen that firsthand. I've been over in my area, my neighborhood, over on Mangos Drive or over on Broadmoor near Cal High. It's a big problem, and residents have highlighted that to me. I've been over to see it myself, and I've talked with the principal. I've talked with our public works department. I've talked with the district liaison and the police chief as well. And we're doing things to try to get cops out there to enforce that traffic and speeding and safety concerns. I was part of an initiative to start what was called a Good Grizzly Neighbor campaign. We put out flyers, we put up signs and things like that to try to get the people dropping off their kids to be better neighbors and respect the neighbors in the area. We also have a traffics program, and the traffics program provides busing to some of those most impacted schools. And as far as the future, again, I think we need to emphasize building out the core of the city area, near transit, near 680. We're going to start a program with e-bikes and e-scooters and make it accessible for people to get them off the road.
Thank you. Candidate Kennison Lee, District 4.
Thank you. Yeah, I think the initial thing is we do have a bike master plan, a walking district. We need to leverage those tools, make sure that they're actually implemented so that folks are out of their cars and people are safe. Getting that housing next to transit and jobs, that's really critical. I have to manage the traffics program for a couple of years, so I know how many vehicle miles traveled we reduce with that program. The challenge with that program, of course, is funding because buses are expensive. What we might want to look at is how we partner with developers, how we partner with different agencies to make the case that perhaps that infill development in downtown would require a couple of additional buses. We have some fantastic programs already existing in our city. The Safe Routes to Schools, Street Smarts. Those are amazing programs. They just had a Street Smarts bike rodeo. We need to use our city communication vehicles and promote those programs so that we increase our safety level. We have traffic calming measures. I feel like there are a lot of programs that exist in the city that we can leverage to continue to promote bike safety, but I think it's going to require a lot of communication and continuing to make it a priority for San Ramon. Thank you.
Thank you. And candidate Lashenlu from District 2.
You got it. Thank you. So if you took a snapshot of any main street in San Ramon at any point of day, doesn't matter when, and you photoshopped out all of the cars, what would you see? you would see almost nothing because we don't have many pedestrians and many bikers, and that's not by choice. Almost everyone who's, regardless of destination, in San Ramon who's trying to get from point A to point B is getting there by car. And it's not necessarily because they would prefer that method, it's because it is the best and the safest method. So the first way that we can mitigate traffic, obviously, as we've all mentioned several times during this forum, is to create a more robust biker and pedestrian friendly network that is continuous. No more sidewalks that just halt and stop and cease to exist. No more sidewalks on two separate sides of the street with no crosswalk to get from one point to the other. I also really liked candidate Keniston Lee's point about promoting existing programs. We have an incredibly well-run city, an amazing city staff, and they think about all these issues comprehensively. And we do have a bike master plan, and we do have a lot of existing infrastructure to lessen traffic. And I think that public engagement and education is going to be a great way to harness what we already have in place to reduce traffic. And lastly, obviously, as everyone has mentioned, it is bold and it is a little bit uncomfortable, but having transit-oriented dense housing is an incredible way forward.
Thank you. Our fourth question, we will begin with Mark Armstrong, District 2. San Ramon, like the rest of the Bay Area, is in the midst of another serious drought. How do you assess San Ramon's water supply on the whole, and for the water agencies that serve your district specifically? What steps can the city take, both in tandem with the water providers as well as independently, to encourage better water reliability and smart usage within the community?
Yeah, thank you. With water, we get briefings by East Bay Mud and Zone 7 Water and Water District. And, I think back to one of the comments that we heard when East Bay Mud was briefing us, that back in 1976, one of the worst droughts on record, and we were consuming in this area about 300 million gallons of water per day. Today, it's half of that. It's 150 million gallons per day. And that's in large part due to the conservation measures and efficiency of our appliances and things like that. And we did that reduction in the face of a growing population, going from about 1.1 million people to about 1.4 million people. So less water use, but more people. So we're doing okay, but that doesn't solve our problems. I think, one of the things that we rely on is when we're considering housing developments, for example, that our water districts provide us with an evaluation as to whether or not they're going to be able to serve. And right now, what I'm hearing is they will have the infrastructure and the capacity to serve our future developments. And if not, they'll say so. Thank you.
Thank you. Heidi Keniston Lee, District 4.
There we go. Okay. Well, one of the things on the Parks and Community Services Commission that we are really sensitive to is drought-resistant landscaping, bioswales, making sure that to the extent that capacity is available, we are using recycled water in our parks. I think the city has done a good job in accordance with the Climate Action Plan of doing things like automatic sprinklers that reduces. So that basically senses when you don't need the water to come through. So I think we're doing a lot of good things. And also I feel like our residents are doing a great job with equipment, installing water conserving equipment. With plugging, we just pulled out a couple of our lawns and are putting in and have put in artificial turf. I think what we could do better is we can connect our residents through our communication vehicles with incentive programs that the water agencies have that I don't think a lot of our residents are aware of. So I think that's a big function of city council and cities in general, is that you don't necessarily reinvent the wheel, and that you look at what the agencies that have purview over water, that have purview over promoting conservation, that you connect them to those resources, that you connect them to that information so they're armed with helping be a part of the process of conserving water. But I am convinced that our city is working toward that, and I look forward to being part of that process.
Thank you. Sarah Lashenlu, District 2.
Thank you. I'm really happy to see that it seems like all of us in the room are on the same page when it comes to water usage, because depletion of natural resources is it's an issue that deserves so much recognition and so much problem solving. So as has been spoken to before me, one of the highest water usages in residential California goes towards landscape management. And I have seen so many of my neighbors change their landscaping from conventional traditional grass to drought resistant, artificial turf, stones, rocks, whatever it is. And this is exactly the solution to the problem. There are programs and incentives offered at different jurisdictions, and it is the responsibility of the city council to inform the public about these potential opportunities, because it's a fantastic investment for a water conservative future, but it's an investment nonetheless. So helping out the residents in any way possible is the way forward. Also, regarding the climate action plan, it should hit on every resource conservation issue, including water. And our climate action plan is currently out of date. It was written over 10 years ago, and the last milestone was from 2020. So reviving, dusting off that climate action plan and implementing it again, because it should be a living, breathing document, is another fantastic way we can work towards water conservation.
Thank you. And Marisol Rubio, District 4.
Thank you. So at first and foremost, I think education is the most important thing, making sure we educate the public about where we stand in terms of our drought. We're in our third year of drought, making sure people are reducing their usage 15% relative to the year before, watering 3 times a week, every other day, preferably in the evening hours. I think the other thing that we also have to do is things that people never think about. Single-use wipes is one of them. Most people don't even realize that there's a marketing of single-use wipes, which are actually causing a lot of problems for water districts. So there is actual federal legislation happening right now to try to address that and make companies more transparent about single-use wipes. The other thing that, of course, drought-resistant landscaping is something we've been promoting for a while. In DS Dublin San Ramon Services District, where I serve as the vice president, we have the Aqua Hawk, which allows every single resident to be able to see in Doherty Valley to see what their usage is. So they're able to better manage their usage on a regular basis, ongoing basis. And also just looking at educating public about contaminants, PFAS and microplastics. Really, this is a lifestyle change, and getting people to transition to more healthier lifestyles and cleaner lifestyles that will not pollute our water. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to what is going to be our last question of the evening. We are going to start with candidate Kennison Lee, District 4. And this marks the first election for these 2 San Ramon City Council districts under district-based voting. How do you plan to address the concerns and priorities of the entire city and not only the district you represent? And what will you do when those needs seem to conflict?
Okay, yes, thank you. Good question. Thought that might come up. Okay. You know, a good city council member who represents a district, they know their district. I know, for example, that fire safety, given that we have high fire risk areas, is important to District 4. I know that dog parks have been discussed because during COVID, a lot of folks got dogs. I know that it's in a GAD area, so geologic hazards are really important. So I will bring that perspective to the city council meetings, and I will advocate when necessary. And however, we don't operate in a vacuum, and we're representing not only our district, but the city as a whole. So what we need to do is evaluate what are the costs and benefits. Is it more detrimental to make a decision that maybe a few folks in District 4 might like, or do we need to look at the bigger picture and look at what's best for San Ramon as a whole? So a city council member really needs to come to the table, knowing what the issues are in their district, expressing that, providing that perspective, to their fellow city council members, but they need to be collaborative and we need to work together to do what's right for San Ramon as a whole. Thank you.
Thank you. And candidate Lashin Liu, District 2.
Thank you. So as I've been knocking on doors and speaking with voters and residents and neighbors, one thing that I've learned is that these districts, they do not divide our city physically. Physically, we are still one city, and the problems that a lot of residents of District 2 are experiencing are actually problems that don't exist in District 2 alone. A lot of people have been impacted by the closure of a grocery store that used to be our go-to grocery store. That grocery store was not in District 2. A lot of people have concerns about housing affordability. That's not solely a District 2 problem. A lot of people have concerns about traffic and safety. That's not solely a District 2 problem either. So the beauty of these district-based elections is that we're able to represent every corner of San Ramon so that interests and experiences are not concentrated to a specific region. But at the same time, we're realizing the interconnectedness of our city, because if we create a robust, continuous bike network in District 2, how is someone going to get to the city center? Because that's not in District 2. So understanding the role of a district-based council member is really important when inheriting this role. It's not about tribalism at all. It's about just representing the voters in your district when making citywide decisions. We are still one budget. We are still one legislative body, and we're still one city. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Rubio, District 4.
Thank you. So as the chair of DURWA, which is the Dublin San Ramon Services East Bay Mud Recycled Water Authority, I actually have had meetings that discuss all of the water services that come through San Ramon. So I have that insight, not only from my elected position, but as an executive committee member for the San Francisco Bay, Sierra Club chapter. But I also have the knowledge of business as a director of government relations for the San Francisco Bay Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. I have also been a bilingual science teacher, and I understand the challenges of what teachers actually have to do, not from the outside, but from the inside. I've also been leading on issues both locally and statewide on diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I think that is something that San Ramon can very much benefit from. So when we think about really addressing all of the issues for San Ramon, we have to have a diversified portfolio. It can't just be one thing or the other. It has to be a very diverse portfolio that will help bring fresh ideas, not from yesterday, but looking forward to the future. And that's what I have to offer. Thank you.
Thank you. And candidate Armstrong, District 2.
Yeah, we've got districts and we've had them since 2019. They're here to stay. I've been out there for 2 years now as part of this district process, because when I was appointed to be the District 2 representative. So I've been able to get out there. I know what our residents want, and that's one of the benefits of what the district-based process is all about. It allows residents to communicate. It allows us to inform. But we still have to serve the city at large. And so when there is conflict potentially between a district issue and a city issue, I'm going to evaluate that issue on a case-by-case basis. I'm going to make thoughtful, informed decisions. I'm going to take a look at the impacts to the city versus the impacts to the district. And part of what I'm going to look at is how to make a decision that's the greatest good for the greatest number of people, and minimize any adverse impacts of any of those decisions. My thought process, includes, bringing issues, identifying the issues, bringing them to the city manager, let the staff develop some options, consider all the different inputs, all the different stakeholders, and get public input before I make any decisions. That district input is extremely important to me. Thank you.
Thank you. And as Gina mentioned, that did mark the end of our questioning period. We will now transition. Each candidate will have up to 3 minutes to provide closing statements. We're going to try to keep everyone on their toes and go in reverse alphabetical order to close. So that means we will begin with candidate Marisol Rubio, District 4.
Thank you. To all the sponsors and partners for hosting this event tonight, as the only candidate for City Council in District 4 with experience as an elected official and therefore governance in or outside of our district, and with a comprehensive leadership background, I will be best prepared to serve you on day one. That's why I'm supported by the San Ramon Valley Education Association, and I am endorsed by many of our home and healthcare workers and educators, such as Laura Bratt from San Ramon Valley Unified School District Area 3. 4 out of the 5 Contra Costa Community College District governing board members have endorsed me, and several mayors, city council members, and leaders across Contra Costa County and the Tri-Valley. Under my current leadership as your elected director and vice president of the Dublin San Ramon Services District Water Board, our agency received the Special District Leadership Foundation District of Distinction Award for our commitment to good governance and to ethical and sound operating practices. I will bring that same leadership and the same values of transparency and accountability to the San Ramon City Council. San Ramon is at a crossroads. Do we remain a bedroom city or try to avoid the inevitable demands of the next 10 years? Or do we embrace these challenges with optimism and forethought? So at the end of the day, we map out our city as we so desire and envision. We need a leadership with fresh ideas and comprehensive knowledge to make it a vibrant model city in California, one to be envied and desired to live in. San Ramon has one of the longest average commute times, which I mentioned earlier, 45 minutes for 39.3% of our residents. That's why I will introduce well-paying jobs in emerging industries that will better align with our community's skills and provide better work-life balance for our residents and reduce traffic and greenhouse gas emissions. Equally important is making sure that we meet our reallocation goals in a timely manner by using newly available infill land to develop mixed-use areas near public transportation. This is an opportune time to develop our downtown to make sure that Iron Horse Trail is contiguous with what will be our future downtown to reduce traffic and increase walkability to key businesses. Lastly, as someone who has greatly benefited community park programs and who has raised a child with disabilities, I understand inherently the complex needs of our most vulnerable community members. That's why I will invest in strong, diverse community programs that reflect our community's needs, foster our residents' interests, and support our children's educational development. The latter will be particularly important to help our students close any educational setbacks experienced during the pandemic. I will advocate for more robust, accessible family and senior programs and transportation that bring families together and keep our seniors engaged with the community at large. To learn more about my campaign, volunteer or donate, please go to marisolrubio.com. Thank you for your time, and I hope to earn your vote by November 8th. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Sarah Lashenlu, District 2.
All right, well, thank you. Thank you all. And thanks again to our local journals, AAUW, and the Chamber for encouraging an informed electorate through this forum. We, as we have all stated and all understand, have a beautiful, safe, and diverse community. It is going to take work, energy, bandwidth, and a whole lot of foresight to maintain those characteristics as we grow over time. Our city is growing and diversifying, and it is our responsibility to grow and diversify our city council accordingly. Now let's talk about the importance of diversity on the dais. Nearly 40% of our population is under the age of 30, but that young population is dwindling. The population of people aged 25 to 44, which are a lot of our young professionals, parents, members of the workforce, and business patrons, has dropped by 10% since 2020. They're planning their roots, starting their families, and buying their homes elsewhere. And the thing is, though, these people have a lot to contribute to our beautiful city if we will let them. And also, on the topic of foresight, San Ramon's general plan, which is a very important plan for the city and for the city council, plans the city's development. How far into the future? 20 years into the future. The decisions that are made today will impact the city for decades to come. As Peter Drucker famously said, the best way to predict the future is to create it. There are young, engaged people in the city who want to contribute their ideas to the city that they'll one day inherit. and be responsible for managing several decades in the future. So why not embrace that energy now? Serving the people as a member of the City Council is not a hobby, but it's also not a job. It's something more than that. It is public service. It's spending as long as it takes to read every specific plan and municipal code, study every law, rule, and regulation, study every nuance, engage with every resident, and ultimately create the brightest and healthiest future for our community as possible. You can learn more about myself and my priorities and my values at my website, sarahforcouncil.com. And you can send me an email if you have any questions or would like to meet up for coffee, sarahforcitycouncil@gmail.com. I would be honored to earn your vote, but more importantly, thank you for engaging in your city's future. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Heidi Kennison Lee, District 4.
Thank you. On this next leg of my community service journey in San Ramon, I am determined to draw upon my knowledge and experience to champion smart city planning. Density done right and focused in the city core allows us to meet our RHNA numbers and provide affordable housing units for folks like teachers and first responders. It allows us to place housing next to transit and jobs, reducing traffic and conserving resources. It is critical that we preserve our neighborhoods, open space, services, and retail, and that we ensure sufficient infrastructure. We must make sure that developers actively help mitigate the impacts of growth. We need to make sure that the walking district and the bicycle master plan are integral parts of our city planning. We need to facilitate a safe and healthy community. I am so proud of the work that we've done in the Parks and Community Services Commission that fosters personal growth, physical and mental health, community connections, and work-life balance. I look forward to actively partnering with our first responders to keep residents safe. And I applaud the city's award-winning collaboration with schools, first responders, and neighboring agencies to provide mental health crisis response for everyone. Let's keep an eye on our city's bottom line. Let's continue to budget conservatively, continue to fund pensions and manage pension debt wisely, which we've done, share resources and leverage partnerships and maintain healthy reserves. We are critically in need of supporting and attracting businesses. Let's keep sales tax revenues in San Ramon, explore business incentives that are effective and make sense, and expect Discover San Ramon, which is our tourism improvement district, to step up their efforts. I want to help create an inclusive, connected, and welcoming community. Let's keep connecting people through effective city communications. Let's focus on our shared values and let's also make San Ramon inclusive and accessible, regardless of age, culture, or ability. Bringing San Ramon events and programs to all residents in all areas of San Ramon will be critical to creating that inclusivity. I am the right choice for San Ramon because I have successfully navigated schools, community organizations, and our city government to make life better for San Ramon residents. Representing District 4 on the San Ramon City Council will allow me to have even greater impact. I take great pride in doing my homework, building consensus, and considering all views and perspectives as part of the public decision-making process. I have demonstrated the ability to collaborate with diverse groups of San Ramon residents and leaders to launch meaningful initiatives and accomplish important goals. Why me? Because my nearly 2 decades of service have been in San Ramon, for San Ramon. When you cast your vote, remember, Heidi for San Ramon. Thank you.
Thank you. And our final respondent, Mark Armstrong, District 2.
Thanks again for tonight's event, to the sponsors and all the residents who've tuned in to hear from tonight's candidates. For this upcoming election, residents of District 2 have an important decision to make. I think it's a clear decision. Experience matters. I not only have experience as an Army leader, but also coordinating and prioritizing federal, state, and local resources during disasters at times when our citizens are in need of most of help. My combined federal service of more than 41 years has prepared me for continued service to the community at the local level. And now I have 2 years of experience as your council member for District 2. I know this job and I've already experienced a steep learning curve of how things operate at the city level. I've worked closely with our city staff and understand our city council, city manager form of government. San Ramon has a bright future, but I've experienced a challenge of our city trying to get things done that I believe are in the best interest of our community, especially in the face of the loss of local control taken by our politicians in Sacramento, who tend to use a one-size-fits-all approach to solving problems. We have some tough challenges facing us with respect to budgeting, meeting state mandates for affordable housing, remaining a safe city, and making sure we can continue to move forward on much-needed capital improvement projects and provide the services and programs that our residents demand and deserve. I don't have all the answers, but as a retiree, I have the time to dedicate to reading through sometimes lengthy staff reports. I consider the input of staff and all the stakeholders on issues. I consider the constraints of overriding state or federal law. And most importantly, I listen to the public who I work for before making thoughtful decisions. My kids are now young professionals in the local workforce. They face challenges different than what I faced. But as a parent, I appreciate what our youth and our young adults are dealing with today. We're also in that time of our lives where we've seen our parents either depart from us or transition through that challenging time as seniors moving from independent living to assisted living. I've heard from District 2 residents, and I share their concerns about the high cost of living and public safety, and whether our adult children will be able to remain in this area. My time as your council member has given me a strong sense of how public policy decisions affect our city and how to examine issues from the perspective of a long-term District 2 resident. I hope you agree that experience matters and that my experience gives me the background and perspective to fairly represent you. And I ask for your vote to allow me to continue serving as your District 2 council member. Thank you.
And thank you. Thank you to the candidates. It's very important, as you know, for voters to hear directly from you, and we appreciate your time tonight. I want to thank my co-moderator, Jeremy, the San Ramon Chamber of Commerce, and Stuart and Kathy in particular. Thank you very much. Also to AAUW and the Dublin San Ramon Women's Club for helping promote this event. Big shout out to Maria Cooper of Above and Beyond Productions for coordinating the live stream and the recording and doing a wonderful job as the timekeeper. We appreciate you. A recording of this will be available soon on the Chamber's YouTube and on DanvilleSanRamon.com's YouTube channel. And with that, I wish you all a good night.